Your standards are not real because you can describe them. They become real when your behavior can prove them. That is the part most people avoid. They like the sound of being disciplined. They like the identity of having taste. They like saying they have higher standards now. But the room is still messy. The calendar still leaks. The promise still breaks when nobody checks. And the crown they keep talking about still has no weight. You may not be lacking ambition. You may be lacking evidence. There is a private gap between the person you say you are becoming and the person your day keeps proving. You feel it in small moments. You say you are serious, then negotiate with the first hour. You say your taste is different, then tolerate work that looks careless. You say your body, business, content, money, room, and mind have a new standard, then let the old version make tiny decisions all day. One tiny decision does not feel dramatic. That is why it is dangerous. The old identity does not usually return with a speech. It returns through exceptions. It returns through the sentence, just this once. It returns through a skipped review, a soft boundary, a half-clean desk, a half-finished offer, a file named final that everyone knows is not final. Nobody sees most of it. That is the test. If your standard only lives where people can see it, it is not a standard yet. It is a performance. Inside the forge, a crown is not respected because it shines. It is respected because it survived heat. Costume metal can be polished. Real metal can be tested. That is the difference between image and proof. The private builder has to understand this. You do not become the person who can carry the dream life by talking about what you will no longer tolerate. You become that person by proving it in the places where your old life still has access. The standard needs a receipt. If you say you are focused, show the protected hour. If you say you are premium, show the detail nobody asked you to fix. If you say you are building a one-person empire, show the system that lets one person repeat the result. If you say you are done with inconsistency, show the boring streak that kept going after the emotion left. This is not about perfection. Perfection is another hiding place. Proof is smaller and harder. Proof is the kept rule. Proof is the second pass. Proof is the calendar block that survives your mood. Proof is the message sent cleanly. Proof is the file organized before chaos gets comfortable. Proof is refusing the cheap version when the cheap version would still pass. The obsidian blacksmith does not crown raw metal. He heats it. He strikes it. He cools it. He tests the edge. Only then does it earn a shape. Most people want to skip straight to the shape. They want the identity before the evidence. They want the lifestyle before the operating system. They want the reputation before the repetitions. But a crown without proof is costume metal. A standard without action is decoration. And decoration cannot carry pressure. The world does not need to believe your standard first. You need to believe it less softly. You need evidence so solid that your own excuses have less room to speak. Not because you hate yourself. Because you are tired of negotiating with a version of you that keeps lowering the room. So make the standard visible today. Do not pick 10. Pick 1. One standard with one proof. If your standard is focus, the proof is a protected 90 minutes with your phone outside the room. If your standard is craft, the proof is one project revised until the sloppy part is gone. If your standard is health, the proof is one non-negotiable walk, lift, meal, or bedtime kept without a speech. If your standard is money, the proof is one clean review of what came in, what went out, and what gets built next. If your standard is environment, the proof is one surface cleared, one system restored, one space made to obey the person you are becoming. The rule must be visible. Not necessarily visible to you. Visible in the room. Visible in the calendar. Visible in the finished file. Visible in the way your future self is not forced to clean up after your current mood. Then remove the escape hat. Do not say, "I will try to be more disciplined." That is smoke. Say, "Before noon this exact proof will exist." Name the proof. Set the edge. Make it small enough to finish and honest enough to matter. Then do the work without turning it into a personality announcement. This is how standards become real. They stop being adjectives and start becoming artifacts. The clean page. The shipped draft. The logged number. The closed loop. Hour. The corrected mistake. The boundary you did not soften to stay comfortable. If you cannot point to the proof, do not call it a standard yet. Call it an aspiration. There is no shame in that. But do not confuse the two. An aspiration is what you hope becomes normal. A standard is what you make normal through repeated evidence. The next version of you does not need louder claims. He needs cleaner evidence. She needs a day that can testify. The Forge is not asking you to impress anyone. It is asking you to stop lying to yourself in small, elegant ways. You know the standard. You know the contradiction. You know the one place where your behavior keeps asking for a discount. Start there. Not with a life overhaul. With proof. One kept rule. One visible artifact. One quiet decision that makes the old identity less believable. Tonight, do not measure the day by how strongly you felt about the dream. Measure it by what your standards can prove. No announcement. No performance. No costume crown. Put evidence on the table. Then do it again tomorrow.